And we're live again. Welcome again to another episode of the Couch Cricketer. This is episode 5, and I'm welcoming my co-host, Satish, aka the Master, the Blaster. Welcome, Satish. We've got a packed show today. Well, maybe we'll see. We're going to start off with a quick community message. Because I think it's quite pertinent at this time to mention, if you do get a chance to get vaccinated, please accept it. Please, we're begging you from the UK, we're begging you, please go and get vaccinated. Please. And also, if you are in the UK and you're listening to this, looks like the weather is going to be decent this weekend. Please stay home. There really is no need to go to the park and sunbathe yet. We're going to get some opportunity to do that in a couple of months, but please stay home if you can. Much appreciated. So yeah, that's a little bit of a community message. Satish, hell of a day of cricket today.
It was.
I thought the fight back from England was really commendable. To go from 24 for 1 overnight to 146 for 6 by the time I managed to get out of bed at 7:30 this morning. It was a fair effort. Where did it go wrong from 146 for 6 down to 294 for 7 at stumps? What happened?
A few things. I think number one, the weather got to them. It was 38 in the shade. Let's say it was about 42 degrees. Again, you can only sustain the tempo and the momentum for a period of time. And Stokes and Anderson, they're literally they went beyond the call out. They were literally kind of performing at a different level altogether. But I think after a point, again, not naming people, I think the weak link was the spinner, the off spinner. I know he's young. I know he needs. You can't place so much of an emphasis on him, but I would say 2 full tosses and over. It's just probably the screw was being tightened on the other side, and on this side there was kind of again. No, I'm not taking pot shots, but I just think it's just you need someone to come in that you can trust, a captain can trust to bowl 10, 15 overs. That was one. Yep. And then, of course, there is the force of nature called Rishabh Pant.
What an innings.
That's a different subject to discuss, but right. it was just I think it's a tornado. He just literally came in and scuppered all their plans. I would say he has changed the game.
So we'll get to that in a second. I thought couple of interesting points. Akshar Patel and Ashwin bagged the bulk of the wickets in the first innings. Jimmy Anderson, 3 for, probably might get another one tomorrow. Ben Stokes with 2 and Leach with 2. So one thing's for sure, this pitch is fantastic. If anything, it's a good contest between bat and ball compared to what we saw in Michael Vaughan's Twitter feed. But I don't think there can be any. I don't think there can be any debate or comment about. I mean, this is a hell of a pitch. If anything, it's and it goes back to another thing that you said yesterday, right? I think it was yesterday's episode when originally before in our pre-match in our preview we were saying maybe 200, 250 is par, and then yesterday it changed to perhaps 300 to 350 is par, and India is probably going to get there. I think if we hold it together, 400 is probably not unimaginable. It's not exactly. It's not beyond what the guys can achieve, especially with good old Washy with his eye in at the moment. Hell of a player, man. I loved watching his innings. It was excellent today.
He's what you would call someone who just scores runs for fun.
Yeah, both of them watching Rishabh and Washy bat together, man. It was fantastic. 2 young fellas out there against a warhorse like Jimmy Anderson, man. Brilliant, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and I think a couple of other telling signs today that kind of made me feel a little bit for Dom Bess when Joe Root preferred to pick up the ball himself as opposed to throw it to a full-time spinner. Kind of felt for him a little bit. I don't know. I think he's been stuffed around a little bit on this tour. From playing 2 games in Sri Lanka, 1 game at Chennai, and then being dropped and so on. I don't know, but but definitely it seemed as though, as you rightly pointed out, they were tightening the screws from one end and building up the pressure, and then throwing the ball to poor old Bessie, and the pressure was kind of getting released. But no, definitely, all in all, I think the first two sessions, perhaps maybe the first session definitely went to England, 100%. 3 wickets in the first session, I think it was, and 2 in the second. But then third session, India took it away, 100%. It was India's day, I think, if you want to put it that way. What do you think?
Yeah. About 2/3 of the day. I think the thing is, it could have been a completely different story. Well,
it could have.
That's why it's called a test match. Every session, every 15 or every chunk changes things. I think Dom Bess is just bound to get better. It's a baptism by fire.
Absolutely, he's young. This experience is
try to turn your arm over.
Exactly. I mean, this experience is only going to serve him better in the long run. And it's one thing that you just pointed out. I really like what you said. A lot of my friends, non-cricketing friends, or people who don't really know much about cricket, when I tell them that I really love watching cricket, they say, man, how can you watch the sport for 5 days? And they don't, this is the nuance. They don't get it. They don't get that with one session, you can completely turn the whole fortune of the game, right? The entire sort of balance can shift within a spell from one particular bowler, or a series of boundaries from one particular batsman. The entire balance of the game can shift. But yeah, that's just me on my high horse about cricket. What else is happening in the world of cricket, and what's taken your fancy over the last 24 hours of cricketing news?
Yeah, you have to be very, very cautious about what you say. But the point is about I would like to talk about the Pakistan Super League, or the Pakistani version of the IPL, and the COVID.
Considering my community message, that's probably a good one to speak about. So what's happening with PSL?
It's a bubble, all those things, but this is kind of bound to happen. And also, I think this is a lesson that people need to take for the IPL as well, because a bubble is all brilliant, but a game like T20, you cannot keep the people away. But how do you incorporate them but keep them at arms? Like how one of the fans ran onto the field, and Virat Kohli literally said, "Go back," because again, there's not a problem. But again, in these kind of pandemic days, and he's a new father as well. He doesn't want to expose himself.
Yeah, of course.
So you need to be kind of push that out. Unfortunately, the Super League is the one that is probably kind of caught in the line of fire, quite technically. So I'm just saying things to learn about. It's okay if you have a tournament for once in a year where you don't interact with the public or the media. It's all right. Yeah. But the lessons need to be taken. And I think the biggest lesson I take from it is for the 2020 World Cup. It's going to be held in India again.
Of course.
So what needs to be done? What do we do in case there is people getting the infection in spite or despite the bubble?
Yeah. No, I think it's quite right. I mean, and the thing that we need to kind of keep into account is, yes, of course, it's important for the players to be kept safe in their bubble and to arrest the spread of the infection, and of course from a health perspective. But if I can kind of look at it with an ulterior motive, as fans, we want to watch the sport. We want to watch the tournament, right? We want to watch our favorite players in the world play the sport, and and from that perspective, I guess, is it too much to ask that the organizers and the facilities and kind of make sure that all of these checks and balances are in place to ensure that the bubble is maintained, or the integrity of the bubble is maintained?
Or what the understanding of bubble is improved as well. Again, there seems to be a kind of vague interpretation of the bubble, having the second or the 8th floors of a hotel as a bubble, and allowing marriages and weddings and other stuff to happen on the basement, and sharing a gym. It's not a bubble, but we learn. I think as long as we learn and we just do not repeat these things, because it's going to take until the end of the year or early next year before the majority of the population is probably vaccinated. So I think you need to be a bit careful, long term rather than short term, I think.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to a couple of other points from today's performance from India. I know I'm kind of jumping on topics a little bit, but hey, that's okay. How good was that reverse flap from Rishabh Pant?
You know what? Again, I don't. James Anderson comes across as someone who's never smiled from the day he always has this look on his face. that was a wry smile that he kind of stopped himself, but it was like, what do you do?
What can you do?
He's just impetuous. It's the thing is Rishabh Pant infuriates you and also has a smile that backs up.
Exactly.
You can't get
exactly. It's this cheeky smile, isn't it?
But
it's this cheeky smile. Yeah.
What it's like. It's just I see the ball and I just place it and bat it on its merit rather than who's bowling or what speed it's coming at.
I mean, it was the same. It was the same aggressive. Yet, look, I think it was a very composed innings. I mean, he kind of went a little mental towards the end, but fine. I think when it came to constructing the partnership, once they get to that 50 partnership, that's when he started to take a little bit more liberty with and started to be a little bit more aggressive and play perhaps what is his natural style, like an attacking batsman. Some fantastic shots. I think the communication between Washy and Rishabh was great. But again, let's not forget he was given a reprieve on 35, right? To go from 35 to 101, and it came down to umpire's call. Had the umpire signaled out, then that review he would have been gone, right?
On another note, the umpiring in this match has been top notch.
Compared to the first one, definitely.
They've not been scared of making those marginal calls. In spite of, despite again, if it goes against England or like the one Rohit Sharma.
Yeah.
I know it went for a review, but it's just clean and simple. I see it. I see the ball hitting the stumps. That's it. Because again, Swanee was making a comment saying if the ball hits 2/3 in the top of the bail, it's out. Otherwise, it's not. So Swanee literally said, if the ball hits the bail, he's out. It doesn't matter if it hits 2/3 or 1/3 or 1/4.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the bowler. But again,
law.
The semantics, quite literally, I guess.
Yeah. So, what's the plan for tomorrow? What do you think? Do you think India bats out maybe? Well, I mean, yesterday our prediction was that India bats day 2, which they've done. So that's fantastic. What do you think? Day 3, do we bat out one full session, try to get to a good score, and then perhaps a second session just go for it, and maybe get up to say high 300s if possible, up to 400 if that really works out for us, and then put England to bat in session 3. What do you think?
I think they're just going to go at the bowling, quite literally. There's no sense in batting out 10 overs and then trying to kind of play certain bowlers. We've come to a stage where they've flogged every bowler there is. They're going to be tired, and they're literally going to go after and unsettle all of them and get to how much you can. This is not about setting 500. You don't need 500 here.
Not on this pitch.
Getting 300 in itself is a huge landmark. 350. It's good enough.
Yeah, I mean, if we get to 350, what's that? 145 lead. We put England into bat. Even if they make 200 to 250, that's still, but just over 100, 110, 120 runs for us in the 4th inning. Probably get us into bat maybe midday 4. I think that gives us plenty of time.
If we had kind of Pujara or someone, Ajinkya batting, they probably would target 400. But again, I know Washy bats awesomely well, and Akshar can bat, and some other people can come in and they can throw the bat around.
Yeah.
Siraj will at least hit 8 runs of 2 balls. That's a guarantee. And Ishant Sharma can literally bat around until he's bored. But I'm just saying we don't have that kind of firepower to come in. So probably have a go and see where it lands. Again, they should at least try to get 350. I should probably, if they get to 320 for 8, they should probably close shop and just bat a bit, scratch around a bit, annoy people, and then probably 150, set them 145, 150, and just see what happens.
Which would be a good target for us on a day 4 pitch. Last question before we call it a close for today's episode. Washy, mainstay on the Indian Test side?
I think he should be retained. Again, depends on where they're playing, but the thing is the batting element that it brings on board is kind of. He can't be he's not going to be the first spinner. He's not going to be a second spinner, but he's going to be the holding bowler who gives you 10 to 15 overs.
Exactly.
He's a thinking guy. He can just get you. He can get you thinking.
Yeah.
He can make you very honest with your batting, and then where the others come in and scoop and take the wicket. Akshar and Ashwin are going to take 8, and Washy will be lucky to get 1. But I just think it's a very interesting player to have in the mix.
Definitely from a bowling perspective, but he brings the bat. He brings the runs, right? He brings the bat to that batting ability to the table. And that's something that has really gone a long way. He proved his worth in Australia. I heard today in the commentary as well that I think he hasn't played very much.
First class
something
cricket,
like the
right?
first class cricket. Yeah, you heard that same
He
comment.
opened for Tamil Nadu, and then
opened for
2017, and then after that, which he's probably been way too busy to play the league. Like he's been in the backup teams, he's been the one-day team, test team, T20 teams.
Yeah, I really hope Washy is a mainstay going forward. Incredible talent, so much to offer, especially with the upcoming series towards the British summer. I really hope he makes it to the side and can show us some of his skills over here. But
he's done it in Australia. He's done it in India. Why not throw him into the deep end in England?
Right.
We'll see what he's up to.
Exactly. But as always, pleasure to have a chat with you, the Master, the Blaster. We'll catch up again tomorrow.
Brilliant, Prakash. Again, thanks for your time, and maybe we will have better things to talk about tomorrow. Let's look into more interesting stuff.
Of course, why not? All right, man. You have a good night then. Bye-bye.
Bye now.